So here's 10 things that we're excited for in GTA 6. In today's video, I'm joined by fellow YouTuber Project Vice, and we're just going to bat it backwards and forwards with the 10 things that we're most excited for in GTA 6. But before we get into today's video, I'm trying to get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Not sure if it's possible, but I'm hoping you guys can help me make that happen. If you could just take a couple of seconds to tap that subscribe button and maybe even tap the bell icon as well to be notified when I upload new uploads, it's massively appreciated. Let's see if I can get to 50k by the end of the year. Now, without further ado, let's get back into the video. So the first topic we need to talk about is the Enterable buildings. As we saw back in December, just before the trailer dropped, one of Aaron Garbutt's son's friends actually leaked a little video which was a kind of showcase of Vice City. He then went on to message someone on TikTok talking about how 70% of the building's interiors would be enterable. Now, whether that's accurate or not, or how that's even going to be pulled off, we do know that more interiors are going to be enterable in GTA 6, and we can tell that from one of the patents that was filed by Take-Two Interactive, which we will talk about later on in the video.
Alright guys, so the next thing that we're excited for is diverse vehicle customization. Now, this is one thing that we did actually see in trailer 1. We saw it in that Wynwood scene with a lot of those lowriders and the cars going by. It looks much more diverse in comparison to GTA 5. There's just way more customization that we're able to do to our car, whether it be wheel offset, the camber, other things that we can do to the car. It seems like we're able to potentially even maybe wrap our vehicles as well, which we have never seen within a GTA game before. I think Rockstar may be going back to how it was within San Andreas, and obviously in extension of what has already been included within GTA 5. They're just going to take it another level up. That's one thing I'm excited for as well. And I think also, pretty sure in the trailer we did see that there was a motorcycle as well that had a interesting livery on there as well that looks pretty cool. Obviously we've seen liveries anyways within 5, but I think it's just going to be way much more customizable in terms of personalizing our vehicles to a greater degree, and that's one thing I'm very, very excited for.
And that brings us on to the next topic, which is boats. Obviously another vehicle in the game, but as we saw in the trailer, there was a lot more emphasis on boats. In fact, there was boats in over half of the shots that featured in the trailer, and some of these boats were at anchor. Some of them had interior lights on at night, such as in this scene here. But also another thing that we noticed is that boats had interiors. They had windows open on them. There was so much more moving elements involved with the creation and the design of boats in GTA 6. And it looks like this isn't necessarily a deliberate choice by Rockstar, but more of a forced nature of where they're basing the game. The game being based on the intercoastal waterways of Miami or Vice City means that it is a prime location for boats and marine life around it. So it looks like Rockstar are going to be really playing in and emphasizing the importance of boats in the game.
So the next one that we're going to be getting into, and this is one that I'm pretty excited for as well to hopefully see, is diversification of missions. We do know that, with Red Dead Redemption 2, that there was to some degree, Rockstar leaned into the non-linearity side of things. There was different endings at in Red Dead Redemption 2's story that we did see, whether you had, this is something that we'll touch on in the next topic, but one of the things that I'm excited for to hopefully see is how Rockstar will go about, player choice. Will we actually see us as the player having more options to do certain things, to act out certain missions? Well, we know within GTA 5 that we did have, whether it was going in stealthy, going in loud and dumb when we were doing certain heists or whatever, but does that mean when we're doing store robberies as Lucia or Jason, or in other missions as well, will we have more player choice? Will there be more ways to act out the mission? That's something that I'm particularly excited about. Also as well, we did see within the leaked gameplay that CCTV cameras were in one of the clips anyways. So does that mean that we got to be more aware now of our surroundings and aware of when we do a particular mission, we have to be mindful of, CCTV or getting caught on camera, whatever it is, that will make everything way more interesting in playing out certain missions. So that's one thing that I'm really, really hyped about.
And the next thing is more advanced relationship dynamics. So as we've seen in Red Dead Redemption 2, We're able to greet and people, antagonize people, and the way that we treat people around us, whether it's in the camp or random strangers out in public, affects how the people in the world around us see us. Now, with Jason and Lucia being in a relationship together, hopefully this means we get a more dynamic element of relationship between Jason and Lucia, and potentially you have a good and bad karma between yourself and the other player, whether you're playing as Jason or Lucia, and you can affect the way that missions take place, or maybe you have to actually build enough trust with the other character to unlock certain missions. But I feel like delving into the realm of love, which is not something that Rockstar have massively done so in the past, is a really interesting way for them to gamify the human condition of loving someone. I think it's a really interesting dynamic, and it's going to create a whole different way that we can approach gameplay, especially when our two protagonists are emotionally / romantically involved with each other.
So the next one that we are going to be getting to is one that I'm pretty hyped about, I'm sure you are as well, is a more advanced combat system. I guess this is more in relation to weapons in particular. We know that within Red Dead Redemption 2 that we had the ability to store weapons on our horse and then take weapons away from our horse out when we're free roaming off our horse and we're walking or whatever it be on a mission, and we're only able to carry a certain amount of weapons on our person, limited carrying capacity. Now we know that within 5 and any other previous GTA that we just whip guns out of our pocket left, right and center, literally whipping an RPG out of our pockets, which is obviously not realistic at all. Seeing that Rockstar have leaned into the more realistic side of things with Red Dead 2 in terms of having a limited carrying capacity, I would say with 6 it is going to be the same. Now some people may like it, some people may not, but I think with that will be something that Rockstar will lean into. In terms of, I guess, just combat in general without any weapons whatsoever, like with GTA 5, when you're doing like a fist fight or whatever, we know that it's pretty limited in terms of the animations or in terms of the sequence of animations that occurs when you're in a fight. With GTA 4, it was much more varied. So I hope within 6 we'll actually be able to have a bit more variety in terms of that. Maybe Rockstar leans into more of the San Andreas style of mechanics and things that they didn't implement within that game, where you can learn a different fighting style or something like that. It'll be interesting to see how they go about it. I would say anyways, and even what we saw within the leaked gameplay clips, that it is going to be much more interesting and more realistic. But I would say that there has to be sort of a delicate balance between that fun side of thing and the realism side of things. So,
and this brings us nicely on to the next topic, which is the tools and equipment list. So as we saw back in the leaks, we're going to be getting a lot more tools and equipment for us to use in the game. This is things like Slim Jims for lockpicking cars, it's stuff like hacking devices, USB drives, and more technical ways to access buildings and vehicles. This goes back into one of the points that Project VICE made earlier about the diversification of missions and making things a little bit more interesting, adding more strategy to different things that we do within the game. We've covered this before, but for example, when you break into a vehicle in GTA 5, it's the same old thing. You either drag someone out the car, you either open the door, or you smash the window. Considering this game at its very core is Grand Theft Auto and there's an art form to stealing cars, it'd be really cool to see different vehicles have different ways to gain entry and different tools to be needed to gain entry to those vehicles. So I'm hoping that this tools and equipment list will add more complex variables when it comes to doing heists, break-ins, or stealing vehicles or property.
Alright, so the next one that we're talking about is the weather. The weather is going to play a pretty significant role within GTA 6, seeing that we are going to be within Vice City, fictional city of Miami. Florida as a state, Leonida, is very tropical. Will we see potentially maybe hurricanes or just extreme weather? It will be interesting to see how Rockstar go about it. Will there be a certain restriction that they may implement within the game in terms of the weather systems? Yeah, it's hard to say at the moment. Within the trailer anyways, that we haven't really seen too much of it, but we did see that in one of the scenes where the naked man is running away from that police cop, that the scene looks pretty cloudy. There's a lot of puddles and that. It seems like there was a lot of ray tracing effects as well that seemed to play into the actual technology that Rockstar Games is implementing. But it seems that weather is going to be much more varied, not only in relation to just rain or clouds or whatever, volumetric clouds, but also the actual lighting effects as well that are going to play into the weather is going to make everything much more interesting as well, much more realistic. I mean, we are going to be on new current generation consoles, the PS5 and Series X. Rockstar Games have much more to play with in terms of the hardware at the disposal. That's something that I'm pretty hyped about.
The next thing we're excited for is the new AI systems that Rockstar Games are putting into GTA 6. Now, firstly, we need to talk about how we know about these AI systems. Well, Take-Two Interactive filed AI patents for certain games, and the only game that really fits the shoe for this is GTA 6. So the first patent we have is the interiors AI patent. As we mentioned in the first point in this video, there's probably going to be a lot more enterable interiors in GTA 6 than there was in any other previous Rockstar game. This interior AI patent that takes to interactive files basically allows interiors to be generated randomly, meaning rooms buildings will fit into style categories / tags. An example of this is a high-end apartment versus an old apartment will have specific assets / styles, and as a result, new / worn, clean / dirty styled elements will be featured within those apartments and buildings. So overall it will have a general structure, but it will be interchangeable based on certain set criteria. Now, the reason why this is important is because previously all models that are used in games in terms of animation sequences, in terms of AI sequences, or say AI, I mean NPC and intelligence systems, have all been based on a tree model where something has to be yes to then follow one path, to then reach no, to then follow a different path. Everything's been based off the tree model. With these AI models, it basically works off a system which is a blackboard system. I've done a full video explaining this in detail, which is in the top right if you want to look into it. The next patent that I want to talk about is the NPC patent. So the NPCs will have generated responses which are reflected in their moods and the animations based on events and the atmospheres they're in. So for example, an NPC that's drunk or in the rain will behave differently from an NPC that is in the sunshine and not drunk. And once again, this isn't built on an animation tree where certain responses are programmed. This is built on a system that combines all the different environmental factors into a generated response for this NPC, basically meaning that the same person can meet the same NPC in the same location, and potentially the time could be 1 hour different in the game, and it could be cloudy rather than sunny, and have an entirely different interaction with that NPC. This is going to create a load of amazing shorts content and YouTube videos. And the last two AI patents I want to quickly reel off is the traffic AI patents, which basically means that traffic is far more intelligent. If a route is blocked on the way for this driver getting from location A to location B, they will take a different route to get home. And we're not just going to have random vehicles crashing into us like we had in GTA 5. And once again, I've done a full video about that topic. Now the last thing I want to talk about, which is also another topic which I've done a full video about, is the AI animation patent. Now this one's very important because in previous Grand Theft Auto games, and in fact every Rockstar game that came previously, animations were looped sequences. So for example, a character would stand up and then they'd loop into a walking animation, and the animations were tied together through little set animation pieces. This is how a lot of cutscenes transferred into actual gameplay, whereas in GTA 6 they're going to be using an AI animation pattern that basically means that these loop animation sequences aren't needed to go from cutscenes to real world environments. The NPCs and the characters and the animations that tie them all together are far more aware of their environment, and they're put together as nodes. So every single body part is an individual node that behaves independently of the main structure. Like I said, there's a full video that explains this in detail, but overall all of these AI patents mean that we're going to get a far more realistic environment to play in.
Alright, so the next one that we're going to be getting into is GTA's evolving world and just the map expanding over time. Now we did see, I've mentioned this numerous times, but a reputable source, Jason Schreier, came out in, was it July of 2022, saying that the game's map will evolve over time. We won't just be having Vice City and some other parts of the fictional state of Leonardo within the GTA 6's map at launch. It will be, well, expanded over time. And how will that work within GTA 6 as a whole? We don't necessarily know of at the moment. Will that be more related to GTA 6 Online, potential single player DLC? It's hard to necessarily say. I would say it's probably more so leaning to perhaps maybe the online component. We can't necessarily rule out that the single player component won't have that in terms of the map expanding over time. But it is great to hear from a reputable source that it does seem that Rockstar are planning to, you know, evolve the GTA 6 map, evolve the world over a course of a period of time, because I think, I'm sure Cyborg has the same sentiment as well. With GTA 5, we've been in Los Santos for so many years now, and it's just like, it's ridiculous. It's the same map, we know it in and out, we know where to go, which location to go to for a certain mission or whatever, and it's become very boring, very repetitive over the last decade, and it will be great to see, obviously once the game game comes out to have Vice City, but over a period of time we will see that being expanded upon, and that's just going to make everything way much more interesting in terms of not only from Rockstar's perspective in terms of creating varied missions in different locations, but also for us as the player to have other parts of a certain area of the map that we'll be able to interact with.
So that about wraps up today's video. So if you did enjoy, please consider liking and subscribing. And of course, as always, a massive thank you to all of my channel members up here. Your support is massively appreciated, and you're the reason why I can do this full time. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.